Black Phone 2. I got a chance to see this on a Thursday night screening, and I'm so behind on stuff, I just haven't had a chance to post a review. However, if you're looking for a more detailed review or more philosophical review, check out fourtimefilmschooldropout.blog, where we do written reviews as well. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. We have daily film content, including movie reviews, movie news, and so much more. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button to never miss a video. Black Phone 2, the follow-up to the hit film Black Phone, which was based on a short story by Joe Hill. Black Phone 2 is co-written by C. Robert Cargill and Scott Dickerson and directed by Scott Dickerson. Now, this is a sequel that I saw quite a few trailers for, and I was torn on if I thought I was torn. It looked good, but at the same time, I feel like sometimes these horror sequels to these films of this kind of niche, we'll say, don't necessarily always work out. Like, you'll have these really great films, and they kind of push out sequels that aren't always on par with the original. Now, going in, I was a little skeptical. However, I come out a true believer. This has got to be, let me rephrase that. This is one of the best films, or one of the best horror films of 2025, hands down. One of my favorite sequels in recent years, and without question, just a straight up great horror film, and it doesn't kind of mesh genres or do anything like that. This is a traditionally great horror film. Now, I'm calling this one of the greatest horror films of the year, if not the greatest horror film of the year, and that's saying something. I mean, you had Weapons and Sinners came out this year, which a lot of people had such a heavy hand on saying they were the best horror films of the year. And yes, they are great films, but are they the best horror film? Sinners, to me, is more of a period piece that has vampires at the end. It's like a period piece version of From Dusk Till Dawn, which is not a bad movie. I think it was a great film. However, I wouldn't call it the best horror film of the year, because it's really, you don't even get that horror aspect until like the last 30 minutes. It's not really a traditional horror film. It's more of a period piece with vampires at the end, or just a period piece remake of From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, Weapons, again, it feels more along the lines of like a thriller. You don't really have that same aspect of horror. Like, again, it's a great movie. I just wouldn't call it the greatest horror film of the year. Again, silent film, I loved Weapons. But when I think horror films, I'm not going to say Weapons is the best one of the year. I just can't say that. Because, I mean, I feel like it has a horror aspect, but it's not the best horror film of the year. It's just not. Black Phone 2 is when you think of horror films, Black Phone 2 is exactly what a horror film is. Great horror film from start to finish. There is no question, is this a horror movie? Because the horror starts from the beginning, and it carries all the way through. It doesn't feel like it's trying to be this, elevated version of what horror is and trying to make it a thriller with a horrifying ending. It's a horror film through and through. And it takes elements. Now, well, before I say it, I feel like this film is like the perfect ideal of a horror film. Like, this is, I would say, a Tarantino horror film, because it definitely takes aspects of other horror films that we know and love and makes and creates something new and delivers us something new. Because if you watch the trailers, you see that, yes, there is dream sequences and there's other aspects of that nature. Like, they have powers, so to speak. Like Finn, hears phones ring that are out of service. And he kind of has that an ability. The Shining, it definitely feels heavy, like it bars heavily from like Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and The Shining. But it doesn't just completely rip off of those films. It takes the inspiration of those films and really kind of molds something new, like Tarantino. Like, Tarantino is famously known for stealing shit and making it better. That's what Black Phone 2 does. I mean, they take everything, they take aspects from every horror film you ever loved, and especially your heavy hitter horror films, and they kind of tweak different things they like from different horror films to give us something that is fresh but familiar. And it is easily one of the best horror films of the year. No questions asked. It definitely takes, again, these great aspects like films from The Shining and Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, and kind of melds them together to give us something new and fresh and refreshing, while also giving us something familiar. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's just simply upgrading it. They're not trying to deconstruct what a horror film should be and reconstruct it. They're simply taking what works, what has worked, and they're molding it into something else. They're evolving horror. They're not necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel. Why I say this film is, without question, a Ferris Bueller. Or, for this one and one time only, we'll say, we are going to introduce a rating that if you know, you know. And we're going to hit it with the better than sex. That is a rating that I do not generally use. That's a rating from a old critique site. Again, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you can research it. You could probably find out. And that is the highest honor that I could give Black Phone 2. Again, I saw this at Thursday night, and without saying, I probably will see this again this week because that's how much I love this movie, and that's how great of a horror film this movie is. I'm going to say that this is the best horror movie that has come out so far because it hits on all aspects what horror films are. It's not a genre mix-up where you can consider it a horror film. This is a straight-up horror film, and it is the best of horror that we've had this year. Have you seen Black Phone 2? What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.